Metroid franchise is known for its atmosphere and exploration, but how exactly does it motivate players to progress through its lengthy and sometimes aimless games? Metroid Fusion's X-Parasites incite the player's curiosity by morphing and outright destroying the area around Samus. The narrative is felt, seen, and absorbed. It can't be escaped. So in a game where Samus is actually kind of told where to go, how is it that that is not the actual reason that you want to go where you go? Let's break it down. On a return trip to SR-388 after the events of Super Metroid, Samus and a group of researchers are ambushed by an X-Parasite. This being fuses itself with Samus' nervous system and nearly kills her, but a vaccination from a Metroid cell culture is administered and she barely survives. However, major pieces of her various suit are surgically removed and her genetic makeup is altered by the Metroid influence. After recovering, she's sent to the Biologic Space Lab facility in orbit around SR-388 where her old armor parts were shipped to respond to a distress beacon. When she arrives, she finds the quarantine room where her parts were sent in shambles. The BSL facility has become the X-Parasite's new home. And that's the premise. But is it rated S? People have all kinds of phobias like spiders, heights, darkness, being left alone in a public restroom, all kinds of things, but everyone is afraid of the unknown. And in Metroid Fusion, that fear is capitalized upon in full. The X-Parasites represent possibility, this danger that could be lurking around the corner and you don't know exactly what it can do. With her newly acquired fusion suit, Samus is back to basics and won't be able to stop the X infestation yet. Her AI overseer, whom she sentimentally nicknames Adam, sends her to Sector 1 of the BSL facility below the main deck. The first of 6 separate sectors, SRX is designed to replicate the surface of SR-388, which is the Metroid's home planet, to which the X are also indigenous. And all the Metroids are now extinct. So you can see how this is bad. And not bad like, left my wallet at home, but more bad like, dang, I left the kids at home and my house on fire. Oops. This introduction replicates that of many other Metroid games. New place, no powers, what the fuck is that thing? Metroids at some point. But as an enemy, the X being able to morph and regenerate at will presents a unique danger. The Metroids almost ate the X into extinction, so with the Metroids gone, they could become an incredible force to deal with. Or not. I mean, so far, all you've seen are basically zombies and an armadillo. So you descend to Sector 1, ready to blast some space creatures just like you have before. You have no idea what that thing is, and even Adam refers to it as an unknown agent. But you know it looks like Samus, and it's way more powerful than she is right now. It even still has her screw attack. For this reason, Adam codenames it the SAX. Having finally seen something powerful that the X-Parasites could recreate, the player's curiosity starts to grow. Is that the most powerful thing? Am I gonna have to fight that next, soon, or at all? But when the answers to those questions don't come, curiosity gets replaced with fear. Not fear like, duh! More of a nagging fear, one that lingers in the back of your head and makes you worry every time you have to go off into uncharted territory. Anytime you have to see a new part of the map, a new sector, just gets a little bit more scary. The level progression in Metroid Fusion is handled differently from some previous games in the franchise. Instead of having doors that can only be accessed by certain weapons, some of them are barred by security locks which can only be deactivated manually. Now, the X could bypass the doors in Sector 1 because they went through the ducts, and you have to open locks to chase after them. Thereafter, every time you open more locks, the X can infect more and more of the facility. It's like holding the door open for a bank robber. You think you're helping at first, but then it all goes to shit and you've got egg on your space helmet. So why do you? Why play right into the X's goopy amorphous hands? Because you have to. With the SAX around, Samus can't just do whatever she wants. The SAX could come at any time. You're stuck moving forward because they know where you've been. They don't know where you're going. At first, this approach seems counterintuitive. Why give the X more room to breathe and breed? Without the SAX, there'd be no reason to. Samus could just eliminate all the X in one isolated area, and everything would be fine. But if the SAX could zero in on Samus's location, he'd just kill her like nothing and eventually find the security rooms on his own. Knowing this, you're motivated to continue to find the data rooms and upgrade your equipment for fear of being murdered by SAX. Oh, and in a stroke of pure architectural genius, the data rooms are often locked behind the next level of security clearance. Who'da thunk it? This method of motivation works by giving the player just enough information. Because Adam gives Samus orders, you know where to go, but not how to get there. So you still feel like you're exploring, but you're motivated to do so not because you're told to, but because the SAX has destroyed every single thing else that you've been to proceeding to that point every time. Now they want you to open the security locks, but they don't want you to get to the data rooms, and after you do, they destroy them so you can never come back. And that's why you gotta keep moving. In this nature, Metroid Fusion's narrative is constantly acting upon the player by blocking off their exits or changing the environment. For instance, when you exit the data room where you acquire the bombs, an explosion is heard and the whole sector shakes. Then you see that your exit is blocked off, and now you have to find a way back to Adam for an update. To find a way back, you're forced to go through unmapped areas deeper and deeper into X-infested territory. And upon returning, you'll note that the sector's changed in a couple of ways. When you first encounter this slow, passive, caterpillar-looking enemy, you may think nothing of it. It's red, it's on the ceiling, who gives a shit? I'm Samus, I got a fucking arm cannon. I don't have time for your creepy, crawly crap. But when you get back from the bomb room, it appears that they've gone into cocoons. Oh, I get it. The caterpillar things turn into scarier monsters. So you think to yourself, later in the game, there's gonna be a Furby turn into fucking Godzilla. That's not scary. That doesn't bother me at all. This slight change is enough to get you wary of future possibilities. Then, on the way back home, more change in the form of another destroyed door. So again, you have to break into another part of the map, falling down a hole, and... oh shit. There it was, the SAX. Now, it may not terrify you right out of your fucking pants or your bowel movements, but it's not that kind of fear. Again, you were safely put into the little ceiling hallway thing, so you're not like, oh shit, the SAX, ugh. You're more like, this was okay, but what's gonna happen next time? Bad stuff. I'd call that moment in the game a turning point. Reflecting on the event, Samus is certain she can and must stop the SAX, but there's no way she can do it yet, and she knows it. Now, the player can be motivated just as she is, not by fear, but by determination. By safely introducing the SAX to you as a character you'll actually be encountering, you can expect that it'll happen again down the line. But thankfully, since it didn't just immediately evaporate you, instead of being frustrated, you find a purpose in being ready to fight by continuing to explore. The fact that this is a space facility, that it's divided into sectors, all of that plays into fighting a growing sense of dread. When entering a new sector, the goal is to get to the data room and back and acquire anything that will help you against the SAX along the way. The more you explore, the more equipment you attain, but in that time the facility gets more and more affected by the X-parasites. And anytime you see mass destruction, it's completely reasonable to assume that the SAX is around somewhere. It's like if you see a college campus, there's bound to be a fucking Starbucks 10 feet away. But when he doesn't show up, that initial fear returns. Where the fuck is he? I've been acquiring all these upgrades, I unlocked another security level, shouldn't I be in big danger by now? Yeah, probably. Metroid Fusion's pacing leads you to make assumptions that turn out to be correct, and they always relate back to the SAX. Is he gonna show up in the next sector I'm visiting? Yes. The X are destroying the data rooms one by one, forcing me to keep on constantly moving and opening doors for them, right? But there's only one place I can go to now. Couldn't they just beat me there? Yes. They've needed me to open the security locks, so I've never been hunted down. But aren't all the sectors available now? Yes. Now, you're being hunted. So the guys on the BSL spaceship were like, hey, Samus, there's gonna be another game full of Metroids. Aren't you super excited? Hey, where you go? Aww. You'd think from this footage that this part of the game, this half an hour into the game part of the game, was the hardest fucking part in the entire game. This door keeps opening up and there's a chance that it'll either be a laser that you can't shoot through, or the eye, which you shoot with the missiles. But all during that, there's the zombies keep fucking regenerating, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore, so I just ran away. So you come up to this thing and you see a Chozo statue, which is like, what? I'm on a space. Oh, okay. Of course it's a fucking fake Chozo statue. Why would it be real? This is my favorite part of a Metroid game. It's like someone took all of Samus's things, her belongings at a party, and hid them in random rooms. She gets into a room and she's like, I know there's something in here. I know it. I can sense it because there's nothing else in here of importance, so they must have hid my stuff. But somehow you need your other stuff to find your stuff. It's really fucked up.